It's certainly true that we Linux and Unix people haven't been friendly to Windows people. In the old days, when you were a puny upstart operating system and we had all the servers, all the important machines, well, we'd laugh at you. If you had a question, we'd tell you to read the effing manual, and then we'd laugh some more. And if you said, well, Unix is unfriendly, we'd say, Unix is friendly. It's just picky about its friends. That was just our way of saying that if you're having trouble, maybe you're just not smart enough to use Unix. And then Linux came along, and a lot of us switched to that, and well, that certainly didn't make anything any better, did it? We're still laughing at you. We're still telling you to read the effing manual, and honestly, I guess we just didn't think you were smart enough. Well, those days are over. We need new blood in the Unix and the Linux world, and our attitudes have changed. We're here to help you now. You may have heard about the Unix way. There have been books written about that. I've written articles about it. Lots of people have. Well, no more. Now there's the Microsoft way, or the highway, and we Unix folk, we just have to get used to that. Some of our old nonsense, like everything is a file, don't put up with that. If someone tries to give you that guff, just tell them, is a horse a file? No, it isn't. Bill Gates has invented the right way to do things. Now, we thought at first that, well, he was breaking established practice, the way he implemented some of the protocols in Windows, and that disturbed us. Well, that's just sniveling from losers, frankly. Windows owns the Internet. Windows owns the world. Microsoft owns the world. Who are we to say, just because we've been doing something the same way for 30 years, that Microsoft should pay any attention to that? No. Their coders have enough problems keeping Windows the stable, secure, and wonderful operating system that it is without bothering with old nonsense that we Unix people put in 30 years ago. Now, unfortunately, you're going to find traces of this problem in Linux and Mac OS X working with Windows machines, because Windows, Microsoft coders, have wisely decided to reinvent protocols and not pay attention to the old way that we might do it on our ancient operating systems. You may have trouble with some aspects of interoperability. Well, it's not your problem. That's our problem. Now, you just get right on the news groups and you make a post. You point out what your problem is, and rest assured that the army of Linux coders and Unix coders will get to work on that and make it right for you. That's the least that we can do. That's our job, frankly. That is our job. Some of you have asked me about installing Linux so that you can learn about it. I don't think that's a good idea. It's bad enough that you have to put up with the Linux machines in the server room. I really wouldn't install it on my own machine if I were you. If you've got an old junker machine, maybe something from the early 90s or something that is worthless and is just going to go in the dumpster, well, sure, you can use that for Linux, but I wouldn't waste any good hardware on it. Other people have asked me about OS X. Well, I wouldn't do that either. That's very difficult. For example, I'm recording this using Mac OS X. I had to download this QuickTime Broadcaster from Apple, and it was free. And well, you know the value of free software. It's If you do install Linux and it doesn't look very much like Microsoft, well, you've installed the wrong Linux. Now, if you go complain to some of the old-style Linux people, they'll tell you you've got the wrong desktop and that you can customize your desktop or choose another one entirely. No. Don't put up with that. Get the right version of Linux. Demand it. Tell them that you're just not going to put up with this desktop nonsense. The operating system should install what you want and nothing else. Always log in as root. That's R-O-O-T. The root user is the closest thing there is to Linux administrator, and that's why you should use it. Now, the Linux people will tell you that you shouldn't be using root unless it's absolutely necessary. They suggest using SU instead. Well, if Linux is so wonderful and so secure, then why is root dangerous? I do need to talk about the command line. Now, you know that Windows has a command line. It's not something that you have to use very often, or if at all, really. But Linux and Unix people, they go way overboard with this stuff. They're constantly down at the command line, and they say that it's easier and it's faster. And here's the thing. They say that some things just can't be done any other way. Well, you know, if it can't be done any other way, what kind of an operating system is it? Linux. You have to use the command line. Huh. We know we lost the war. We thought we were so smart with our open source and our free and all that, but it's all over. We know that. The minute we saw Vista, well, we knew the end was near. Ubuntu, whatever that is, or Mac OS X Leopard, no, we can't compete with Vista. How could we? We're just outclassed the entire way. Now, it's not going to be long before there's no Linux or Unix left anywhere. We understand that. We appreciate it. We're ready to go. We're ready to go. But in the meantime, while some of those old servers still have to chug along doing their applications, you may have to deal with some Unix or Linux problems, and that's why we're here to help. You just write to us. Just ask any of us on the news groups, on the web. You see us on the street. If we look confused, we're Linux people. Just ask us, and we'll help you. We'll come right to your house, right to your office, whatever you need. We're here to help now. The war is over, and we lost. Thank you, Bill. Really, I mean that. It's a time for unity. It's a time for forgiving. It's a time for forgetting. I think that anyway.